first get kids into the home, it's more important that they eat than that they eat healthy. And so we do usually do more packaged foods, more convenience foods than on a regular basis. And then we slowly wean them off of the convenience foods into more healthy foods. And then that way they feel comfortable. I'm used to eating pizza. Okay, let's eat pizza, right? It's just one way to help them to feel more comfortable in your home. Hi, I am Christine Siddons, and welcome to the One Tough Mama podcast. And I want to talk about adoption and food and stomach issues, because they kind of go hand in hand. And again, this is from our perspective, from our family experience, and it could very well be different from someone else's. But I just wanted to touch on things that we either weren't aware of or fully aware of, or that we just hadn't heard about prior to bringing kids into our home. And again, I'm going to do these series probably in my car, because there's things that I want to talk about that I really don't want the other kids to just feel bad about themselves if I'm talking about it, because some of it will pertain to them and not to them. Anyway, so stomach issues. So we have adopted, as I'm sure if you're following, we have adopted 7 kids. Yeah, 7 kids, and 2 sibling groups and 1 single. And so we have adopted from the ages 12. Anyway, preteen all the way to just turned 2. So we've adopted various age groups as well. So every single child that has come into our home has had stomach issues. So mainly constipation. That was caused by a couple of issues. Number 1, stress. As you could imagine, and I'm sure we would all be the same way, coming from a circumstance that has made you being taken away, removed from your biological family, and then put into foster care where you don't know the people, there's other kids in the home more than likely, everything is new, possibly a new school, you don't know if you're going to be sent back home, the whole thing, that right there leads to stress. And you probably didn't eat very well in your biological home, and so you're already probably set up for stomach issues. So number 1, stress. And then you come into a home again, and some of these kids have been moved multiple times. So again, different diet, different environment, stress, new school, new everything. So stress is number 1. Number 2, they have a lot of emotions, again, tied to the stress. So you have anger, you have fear, you have anxiety, you have PTSD, just everything that goes along with being in foster care and going into a new home. And that, number 1, to me, is big. And number 2 is the food. And so a lot of times when a child's in foster care, they go to daycare, they go to public school, and they go back to daycare, and maybe all 3 in that particular order, but generally they are in daycare and public school. And as we know, the public school and daycares generally don't serve the best quality of food. And I know for a fact that where we live during the summer, the public schools give out free food. And so you can go once a day, Monday through Friday, and get breakfast and lunch. We generally don't get a lot of the free summer meals a lot, but this last summer we just got more than our normal. And you could go every day, you could go get as many meals as you want anyway. And so we did notice a change in our kids' digestive system. And so I'm not going to go into details, but when it started about a week into eating summer food, like summer lunches, and then when we stopped about a week after, their problems disappeared. And so the food, processed food, fast food, all that convenience food, does affect your stomach. And so when we get new kids into our home, we just always, okay, they're probably going to be constipated. They're probably not going to have the best digestive system, gut health. And so we eat healthy as much as possible, but we also know that the kids are more than likely not used to eating healthy. And so we do tend to have more convenience foods when we first get children into the home, and then slowly wean them off, and then their diet will be much healthier. For two reasons is, number one, we want them to eat. And that is if they're used to eating fast food, if they're used to eating packaged foods, chances are that you're going to have better luck feeding them that than like made from scratch type foods. When we first get kids into the home, it's more important that they eat than that they eat healthy. And so we do usually do more packaged foods, more convenience foods than on a regular basis. And then we slowly wean them off of the convenience foods into more healthy foods. And then that way they feel comfortable. I'm used to eating pizza. Okay, let's eat pizza, right? It's just one way to help them to feel more comfortable in your home. But just know that they probably will have some stomach issues. A couple of ours have had to be on, well, more than a couple have had to be on actual medicines to help them regulate their stomachs, and we've had to go to the doctor for a few of our kids for actual stomach issues, just to make sure that there was nothing more serious going on. And so definitely stomach issues has been a number one problem with every single one of our kids. And then with food issues, so they do cover this in the training, like food hoarding and that kind of thing is pretty much what food hoarding, and then not feeling like they have enough. Generally, when a kid has come into care, they haven't had enough to eat. Whether that is just the lack of food, rotten food, or both, or they've gone long periods with no food. You can kind of just count on that, and generally you can find that out if through your kid's worker, if that was part of their history. And so when a child has been without food or has had to have rotten food, a lot of times they don't know when their next meal is coming. And they don't know you, and they don't know what the word safe is. They don't know that they can trust you. And so they are in like a trauma fight or flight mode. So when they have food, they tend to hoard it. They can. Not all my kids have. They can hoard their food and stash it away for time that you don't have food, because they don't know when their next meal is. And then, so one thing that we did was we always had food available. We had like a basket of healthy snacks, fruit, just kind of snacks that they would like, just not like a bunch of sweet things that are just going to make them up and then crash. So we had a basket on the counter in the kitchen that they could go to anytime that they wanted and get a snack. And when our sibling group of 4 first came, they ate all the time. And they were from different homes. And so they were all used to different eating schedules. Hey, I just had to switch positions. The other seat was getting too sunny. So again, we had to set up an eating schedule for our kids. And we had it posted in a central place so they all could see it. So literally, I had breakfast at this time, snack at this time, lunch at this time, excuse me, snack at this time, dinner time, and then snack at this time. So literally basically six meals every day. And that was up for a good while. And it was up until they realized, like, hey, we do have food and we do eat on a regular basis. And so with another food issue is lying. So they can lie at school that you didn't feed them. And I think that, and they, or whoever, like outside people, whether it's church people, neighbors, friends, teachers, if you have them in a like after school program, they can lie and say, I'm hungry, my mom didn't give me breakfast, or whatever. And hopefully you have a good relationship with these people, because I have had a teacher call me and ask, hey, this child is telling me that they're hungry, and I know you, and I know that you feed your kids. And I said, yes, this child did eat breakfast, and this is what this child ate for breakfast. This is what happened, and I sent them with a snack, and blah blah blah. Okay, just checking, Mrs. Siddons, and just making sure. And so that is something that can happen simply because they honestly just don't know when their next meal is going to be. And so they can lie about that. Okay, so just to kind of recap on the food and stomach issues. So stomach issues, I would generally just prepare that your kids will probably have some kind of a stomach issue from stress and just diet. And then food issues, be prepared for hoarding. Be prepared to find, whether it's under dressers, in the closet, in the bathroom, anywhere that a child can stash food. They'll stash food. And it's not every child, but we have had 7 kiddos, and so we have experienced some hoarding, and it wasn't as bad as I have heard, but we have had experience with that. And then have a snack basket box area that the children can go to whenever they want, so that way they know that you always have food and that they always have something to eat. And then and again, be prepared to feed them a lot until they know that food is always available and that you are going to provide for them. So that's just something that we kind of were but not really prepared for. And so yeah, and thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time.